Welcome to the Haunt Vault, where we unlock the doors to the unknown and step into the shadows of unsettling truths. In today's story, The Truth Within, a group therapy session becomes a gathering for the lost and broken. But not everything is as it seems. Strange, unexplainable events plague Sarah and the other attendees, each of them grasping for reality as it unravels before their eyes. One thing is clear, not all of them belong there, and the truth is far darker than they could have ever imagined. Prepare yourself to question your reality as we dive into this chilling tale where the line between real and unreal disappears. The small room was dimly lit, just enough light to cast long shadows on the walls. The circle of chairs was filled with people who avoided each other's eyes, their hands fidgeting with anxious energy. It was meant to be a safe space, a group therapy session for those grappling with anxiety, trauma, and isolation. Sarah sat uncomfortably in one of the chairs, glancing at the others in the circle. She had no idea why she was here. She didn't remember signing up for therapy, didn't recall making any appointment, but the email she received was addressed to her specifically, urging her to attend a closed session. For the past few weeks, her life had been off. Strange things she couldn't quite explain, like waking up and finding things in her apartment had moved, her phone logging calls she didn't make. She figured maybe she needed help, maybe her mind was playing tricks. Across from her sat a man tapping his foot nervously, his eyes darting around the room. A woman next to him rubbed her hands together, muttering something under her breath. An older man in a suit was staring at the ground, pale and sweating. The door opened, and the therapist entered, a woman in her 40s, with a calm demeanor and dark-rimmed glasses. She smiled warmly as she sat down.
"Welcome,"
she said, her voice soothing but carrying an edge of authority.
"I'm Dr. Mason. It's good to see all of you here today. Before we begin, I want you to know that this is a safe space. Whatever you say here stays here. You were all selected because of your shared experiences, and we're going to explore that."
Sarah raised an eyebrow. Shared experiences? She didn't know these people. She shifted in her seat, a knot forming in her stomach. Dr. Mason gestured to the group.
Let's start with introductions. Just say your name and why you think you're here.
The man tapping his foot went first.
"I'm Carl,"
he said, his voice shaky.
I've been seeing things, people following me, but when I turn around, they're gone. I know they're real. I can feel them."
Next, the woman rubbing her hands spoke up.
"I'm Janet. I keep hearing voices, but not like inside my head. It's more like someone's whispering just behind me. Always right behind me."
As they went around the circle, Sarah's anxiety grew. Each story was stranger than the last. A woman named Beth swore she was losing time, hours, sometimes days. A man named Eric said his reflections didn't match his movements. When it was Sarah's turn, she hesitated.
"I'm Sarah. I don't know why I'm here,"
she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper.
"But I've been losing track of things. Like things move around my apartment, or I find messages I don't remember sending."
The others nodded slightly, as if that confirmed something for them. But Sarah felt no relief.
Thank you for sharing.
Dr. Mason said.
Now that we've all introduced ourselves, I want to talk about the reason you're all here. This group was specifically chosen because you've each been experiencing the same thing.
A cold wave of dread washed over Sarah. The same thing? Dr. Mason continued.
None of you are supposed to be here.
The group exchanged confused glances. Carl shifted uncomfortably in his seat.
"What do you mean?"
There's a mistake,
Dr. Mason said, her voice unnervingly calm.
One of you does belong here, but the rest of you don't.
Sarah's heart skipped a beat.
"What? How could that be?"
I don't know who made the mistake, but we'll figure it out. One of you has been living a lie. A fabricated reality designed to keep you from realizing the truth. You've all been placed in this group to make you see it.
Janet let out a nervous laugh.
This is a joke, right?
Dr. Mason's face remained expressionless.
It's not a joke. One of you is real. The others, you don't exist.
A tense silence fell over the room. Sarah felt a sharp sting of panic in her chest. Her hands trembled as she stared at Dr. Mason, searching her face for any sign of humor, of reassurance, but found none. Beth stood up abruptly.
I'm leaving!
As she reached the door, Dr. Mason spoke again, her voice low and firm.
You can't leave. The session isn't over yet.
Beth ignored her and grabbed the doorknob, yanking the door open. She stepped into the hallway and froze. Sarah strained to see what had stopped her, but Beth just stood there, her body stiff, her breathing shallow. Then, slowly, she backed away from the door, her face pale with terror.
No! No, no, no!
The others stared at her, eyes wide.
What is it?
Carl asked, his voice trembling. Beth didn't answer. She turned to face the group, her eyes wide and wet with fear.
There's nothing out there.
She whispered.
It's just nothing.
Panic set in as the others rushed to the door, one by one. Sarah watched as Carl pulled the door open wider, revealing nothing. Not darkness, not a hallway, but an empty void. It was as though the world beyond the door simply didn't exist.
We're trapped.
Eric muttered, backing away.
This isn't real. This can't be real.
Dr. Mason remained seated, calm as ever.
I told you. Only one of you belongs here. The rest of you aren't real. But which one of you is it?
Carl snapped.
This is insane. I'm real. I know I am.
He turned to Sarah, his face wild with desperation.
You must be fake. You don't even know why you're here.
No,
Sarah stammered, backing away.
I'm real. I know I'm real.
The group began to unravel, accusations flying as they pointed fingers at each other, each person desperate to prove their own existence. Dr. Mason watched, her expression unreadable.
The only way to find out is to confront the truth. One of you is the anchor. The rest are shadows, projections. And you know who it is.
Sarah's mind raced. This wasn't possible. She was real. She had a life, a job, friends, memories. But as she looked around the room, doubt gnawed at her. The others were so sure of their reality too. And yet, something felt wrong. The room seemed to pulse, the air thickening with each passing second. Sarah's vision blurred as her breathing became ragged. She wasn't supposed to be here. None of them were. Except. Then, without warning, the lights flickered and went out. The room plunged into pitch-black silence. Someone screamed, a high-pitched, desperate cry, but it was quickly swallowed by the void. In the darkness, Sarah felt something move. Something shifted, brushing against her.
All of you are wrong,
a voice whispered, right next to her ear. Sarah's heart pounded, her skin cold and slick with fear. She couldn't see. She couldn't breathe. And then, with terrifying clarity, she realized she wasn't real. The room erupted in chaos, and just before everything dissolved into black, she heard Dr. Mason's calm, soothing voice once more.
Welcome to the truth.
And then there was only silence. If you've made it this far, you've journeyed deep into the haunt vault, where reality twists and the truth is far from what it seems. In The Truth Within, we learned that sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's hiding in the dark, but the secrets we hide from ourselves. Was Sarah ever real, or was she just a shadow of someone else's truth? Perhaps the real question is, How well do you know your own reality? If this story sent chills down your spine, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another tale from the Haunt Vault. Remember, sometimes the scariest truths are the ones we can't see. Until next time, stay haunted.